A few weeks ago, the Governor of the Reserve Bank pointed out that New Zealand will, in the next 12 months, be one of the faster growing developed economies. I know it doesn't quite feel like that here. We find the recovery is becoming increasingly positive, but still a bit patchy, where some industries, some businesses are still struggling, and certainly there are still people looking for jobs. But it does tell us a bit about what's happening in the rest of the world. I was in Australia just last week, and there's a mood there of some frustration. I think they've had decades with no recession. They're going through a bit of an adjustment, and I've been surprised at how much that has affected the legendary Australian confidence. In the next few weeks I'll be off to Singapore and Vietnam, part of that Asia-Pacific rim which is growing so fast. They've got some economic challenges too at the moment, with the large emerging markets slowing down. The hot money that flowed in there a few years ago is starting to flow back to the US, and that is a risk for New Zealand, that they slow down, and that affects our growth as well. But the lesson out of, I think, both Australia and Asia is that we need to keep focusing on being a resilient economy. That is one which can adapt pretty quickly to the signals we get from the global economy. And I'm very proud actually of how New Zealanders have handled that over the last 4 or 5 years. Another more recent example has been the infant formula issue that's caught up with our biggest company, Fonterra. The key thing there is not so much that something went wrong. Of course we'd want to avoid that, but the way in which New Zealand and the company have reacted to that by demonstrating integrity, openness, being decisive about protecting the interests of consumers in our markets. That's the kind of thing that earns our trust in those markets, that helps the premium prices for our goods, and demonstrates that we're an economy that isn't complacent, that understands what the market needs and will do what it takes to be successful in those markets. I think that's a bit of a contrast to the attitude we're seeing as the opposition try and find a new leader, where you'd think the job was done, we can put all our feet up and start handing out lollies to everybody. It's simply not realistic. That's not the world we're in. The world we're in is one where New Zealand is increasingly succeeding because it's so resilient, our economy's more adaptable and flexible, and the government's going to keep driving in that direction.